Hey guys, it's me, Travis at the DFSkarma.com, going over some strategies for MLB contests for you guys who are playing along with us with our partners at Jock Market. Now, if you haven't heard of Jock Market before, you can go to jockmarket.online. It's actually spelled JOCKMKT, so they get that little abbreviation there for the market part. JOCKMKT.online. Use promo code KARMA. It's a DFS platform, marketplace, if you will, and it's the easiest, and I've been saying this for almost a year now. It is the easiest DFS site to win money on because you're not versing everyone else. There's no other user competition. All that you have to do is bid on a player that you believe is going to outscore their projections on what Jock Market says their projections are. And if they outscore their projections, you win money. So even if you only bid on one player for a handful of bucks, a couple dollars, if you will, and they exceed their projections, then yeah, you get the win. You make a profit. Sure, if you only bid a few bucks on one player, you only get one share of them, for example. You're only going to make a few bucks, but as you scale up, and as we've done in the Karma Nation community, you can win consistently a pretty penny. So we're going to go over MLB strategy, and the reason why we're doing this video, we used a specific strategy for NFL and NBA that won our community tens of thousands of dollars over the NFL season. We've killed it, of course, in the NBA season, especially with it being everyday markets that we have here. But MLB's a little bit different of a giant to tackle. These same strategies that we were using for NFL and NBA, using our lineup optimizer, which you can, if you need any of the strategies whatsoever that I'm referring to, you have no idea what I'm talking about, just get into our chat room, go to dfskarma.com/chat, and you'll see in the Jock Market specific channels that we have strategy tips, as well as you can tag us and ask us questions 24/7, 365, and we're more than happy to help you out. But we've been trying at the early part of this MLB season to apply the same strategy that won, like I said, that won us tens of thousands of dollars over the community for NFL NBA season, but it wasn't working exactly. So we have I'm going to go over a little tweak to that strategy that seems to be more profitable for us. So what I have pulled up right here is the website version, the desktop version. This is an app. You can download it. Just go, like I said, Jock Market, MKT, JOCKMKT.online. Use promo code KARMA when you sign up to get that. It's a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. It's a free $100 there. And most people, of course, play on the app, but since I'm sitting here working on everything Karma, quite often I decide to pay more attention to the desktop site, and it looks better for this video anyway. So let's go and talk about MLB. So here's their daily market. I'm recording this on April 25th. I'm just going to keep just spitting out a bunch of different factors you should be paying attention to. So you see here this 9.89 FPS. That is the Jock Market fantasy projection score. So if you're using our lineup optimizer projections or our MLB projections portal projections, the scoring is not identical. So don't look for the most identical scoring comparison. Jock has kind of a unique scoring, but they still have it's unique scoring. But like if they say Nick Castellanos, I always want to say like Castellanos or something like that. If Nick is their highest and he's actually the highest on ours, even if like let's say there's a 9.89, let's say ours has like 10.68 for our DraftKings lineup optimizer projection. Even though they're different numbers because they're different scoring, if we have the best and they have the best, that means they're on the same. Both projections are on the same page. But that's not normally the case, which is how we've been able to win so much money in NBA, NFL, using the differences from the lineup optimizer that we have with our fantasy projections to what Jock Market is showing here. So if Jock Market is saying that Nick is going to finish as the top scorer, now Jock is batters only. There's no pitchers, so you don't have to worry about the pitching stuff. If Jock is saying that Nick is going to finish as the top scoring projections, top scoring hitter, projection-wise, fantasy projection-wise, out of everybody on the slate, and you can see the slate by clicking that I button up there and then clicking on games. So it's the 6:45 all the way to the late 9:40 p.m. Eastern time game. This is the games that is part of the slate. If they're saying Nick's going to finish first, and our optimizer projections or our MLB projections portal projections that you get, MLB projections portal, you get with the MLB DFS premium packages we have. The lineup optimizer you can either get with an optimizer package or getting the MVP Ultimate, which has literally everything premium on DFS Karma wrapped into one thing. If we're saying, let's say they're saying Nick is going to be finishing first, and we're saying Nick's going to finish let's just say 7th overall for that particular slate of games, then of course you don't want to bid on Nick finishing first if we're saying he's going to finish 7th, because if you trust our projections more than Jock's projections, you're going to be losing money. What you want to do is you want to find the players that we're projecting higher and that Jock Market is not projecting high enough. And that is the strategy we've used to kill it. And I'm not exaggerating. Like tens of thousands of dollars over NFL and NBA season we've won on this app just by using that comparison tool. That lineup optimizer strategy kills it. So I've been trying to use that with the MLB contest, but MLB is its own beast where a player can just have an off day and go 1 for 4 with a single or 0 for 4 in a strikeout. And even though their projections were supposed to be amazing, it can cost you money because they just, goose egg it, if you will, or just a single and they're projected, get 10 plus points. So what we're doing for MLB is we're not targeting the top people like we did with NBA and NFL. We're going to be targeting the value plays, because value plays have less of a loss if they have that off day, that 0 for 4 plate appearance, or the 1 for 4 with a strikeout or whatever. So we're targeting the value plays. Now you can do whatever you want to do on this app. If you want to target the big names, you want to target people you love, you can. But if you're playing every day, you got to have a safer floor with MLB because it's so much different than NBA and everything else. So value plays is what we're targeting. There are 2 tools that you should be using every single day for playing MLB on Jock Market. The first one is 100% free to use. We have our site is the only site that has this for all the sports. But we call it the Jock Market Historical Data Tool. So there's a drop-down menu here. We have this for NBA, NFL, NHL, PGA, and MLB. So it's tacked on to MLB. You see right here, it has, let me make sure my camera's not blocking that. Yeah, it's not. So right here in this bar here, it has MLB Daily Market 424, which was yesterday's market. So this is showing all of the data from yesterday. So, the name, Cody Bellinger, team, LA Dodgers. He scored 20 points, 20 fantasy points based on Jock Market's fantasy scoring. His IPO price was $1.02. His final payout was $25 because he finished first. He profited $23.98, which was a 2300% ROI. So something you need to pay attention to. So if you're watching this for the first time, you've never played on this, you're interested, hey, I would love to win money more consistently, especially on a site where I'm not versing anybody else. I just have to bid on players that I believe are going to outscore the projections. If the player finishes first overall out of the entire slate, every share gets paid out at $25. If they finish second, every share is 20. If they finish third, it's 18. Then it goes to 16, and then it just trickles down all the way to 1. It's impossible, 100% impossible to lose every penny that you put into the market, because the worst possible finishing spots, they pay out $1. So if you bid $3 on someone, and let's say they have an 0 for 4 day, and they finish bottom of the barrel, then that, what did I say, $3 per share? Yeah, so if you pay $3 per share, and they finish bottom of the barrel at $1 per share, you only lose $2 per share. So let's just say you got 5 shares, you paid $15 because they're $3 each. They finish last, so you get paid out, 5 shares, so you get paid out $5. So you actually only lost 10 and not the full 15. So it's impossible to lose all your money because the worst share gets paid out $1. But the best is 25, and that's the range across all the sports. So this is saying that Cody finished first, and he had a really low IPO price. Now, what is IPO price? IPO price is what it cost at lock for each share. So if somebody thinks that player A is going to finish first, let's just use Jock's example of Nick finishing first in today's slate. So if everybody's agreeing with that, they're all going to want shares of him, and they're willing to pay X amount of dollars per share. And once it's locked, that's when you actually get the shares. So you're just bidding before lock, and so if everybody's bidding on Nick, and let's say they believe he's worth $10 a share because everyone's thinking he's going to finish first, which if you remember, first place is $25 a share. Even if they're bidding all the way up to $10 a share, which is pretty dang high for MLB market, well, if you get it at $10 a share, even though you're overpaying for it, in my opinion, because that's really expensive for an MLB player, just based on the like I said, the potential for a goose egg, just a bad day at the plate, that still pays you $15 profit per share. So if you get 5 shares at 10, 5 shares at $10, you pay $50, and he finishes in first place, like you and Jock and everybody else is projecting, you get $125 because it's $25 a share payout. So you right there made what was that, $75 profit. So yeah, we can go on and on about the strategy, or not strategy, but how the site works. But that's why there's already tons of videos. If you want more information, you go to this drop down menu right here, Jock Market, how to play on Jock Market, Jock Market plays. Whenever we write up articles, which Ben does every single day for MLB. Sometimes he sprinkles some NBA in there as well. Those are all going to be in here, Jock Market plays. If you want to get more insight on how our top analytic DFS brains are working, Jock Market plays. How to play on Jock Market goes more into what exactly is this, how do I win money, how does it work, and then this tool right here, Jock Market historical data, is in that drop down menu as well, and you can find that on mobile too. So the cool thing about this tool, going back to the Jock Market historical data tool, is that you don't have to just select one market at a time. So if I want to see the average, let's just say I'm going to go to every main market. So main market, so the non-main markets are when it says early or free or late for MLB. I don't pay attention to any of those. I want a full main market slate, because if you're comparing like an early market, and let's say it's only 2 games, then the prices aren't going to be the same across the board. To compare, you're comparing two completely different things. So I'm just going to select the last 4 regular markets, and when I say regular, it doesn't say regular in the name. It just says MLB Daily Market. So MLB Daily Market 424 is highlighted, 423 is highlighted, MLB Daily Market 422, and MLB Daily Market 421. The last 4 MLB daily markets, just highlighted them here, and then it's gonna pull all of the data from our Jock API we have, and it's gonna put it right into this. So let me see here. Points scored. Let's sort by points scored. Mookie Betts. So Mookie Betts had a crazy game. Was it like a night or 2 ago? He had those 2 home runs. So what this does here is this averages out the last 4 daily markets. Now, if a team is not part of a daily market more than once in this 4-day span, so let's just say they've had a lot of early games, or they haven't been part of the main market, which is it's unlikely, then they're gonna have weird data where see Cody's here with his 2,300. So this is like a weird off thing, because apparently Cody's only been part of that 1 daily market yesterday. That might be a fluke in the system. We have to look into that, but I'm guessing that Dodgers have not been included in Jock's cash markets for the previous 3 days before that. But anyway, this averages out everything. So let's just go to like, I don't know. Let me just look at Byron Buxton, who's kind of been on fire this month. So over the past 4 main markets that the Twins have been included in, he has averaged 13 points scored. His average cost per share at lock across the 4 markets, granted the ones that Minnesota's been part of, he's averaged $3.83. His average payout has been $13 per share over the course of those 4. So every share, on average, over the last 4 days on the main markets that Minnesota Twins have been a part of, every share that you've got of Buxton has averaged a $9.17 profit. So that's a 239% profit using the average profit comparing it to the average IPO price. Now, this is not, this platform, Jock Market, is not just a bid on players. And if you have the highest bid when it locks, you have the players' shares and you just hold on to the end. I mean, typically I tend to play that way where I don't do too much after that, but there is a whole after that you can do, and you can use the how to play articles that I showed you in the drop-down menu, as well as the 24/7 365 Jock Market chat room that we have that's completely free to get into. There's a whole other part of it called live trading. So after lock, if let's just say a player is not doing too well and you still want to get something back for him for what you bet on him, and you're like, okay, he's 0 for 3 and he's got 1 more plate appearance. let me see if I can get a couple. Let me see if I can get some value back from him. You can actually sell him at a discount, if you will, for that. Or if you don't want to wait till the end, let's say he starts off with he's the first person to homer for the day, so he's going to shoot up to that number 1 spot, and he's going to be valued at a pretty high spot because he's the first person to homer. So he currently has, during the live market, the highest scored fantasy points. Well, if you bid, let's say, $4 a share for him, you can probably get a good return selling him at a certain value. And then even if he falls down because other people outscore him, you don't have to worry about those shares because you already sold them for a profit. You can do that almost immediately when somebody scores, or even before somebody scores. If you buy someone at $4 a share, and they're and then the first batter of the entire slate, and they have a leadoff homer. Let's say it's got leadoff hitter, leadoff homer, and you can sell every share of him for, I feel like you could probably get like $10 if he's like the first person to shoot up there. Just what my guesstimation. But if you can make $6 a share on a player before like any of the other games start and before the end of the slate. Like, you don't have to hold on to these till the end to see, like, hopefully he finishes first, hopefully he finishes second. You can sell people for profit the entire time. So if you think it was just a fluke scenario, you bid on him cheap, and he actually outperformed his expectations on the first swing or the first plate appearance, you can sell people immediately. But another user has to come in at that price you set it at and say, yes, I want shares of that player at that price. Because if you buy it at 4, you sell it at 10, they buy it at 10 because they believe that he's going to hold that number 1 spot for $25 a share. Well, it's a win-win for both parties. Both parties make profit. But yeah, it's not just buying shares at lock, having the highest bid, holding on to those shares till the end. There's a whole live thing where you can buy, sell, trade, all that other stuff. But yeah, so this tool is very important to use because it shows you the data you need to see to know if somebody's been worth it in the last couple markets. So if you do personally bid on players or have projections based on historical data, you also need the historical price. If I want Buxton today, if the Twins, I didn't even check the slate today, but if the Twins are playing today and I want to get shares of Buxton, well, how cheap has he been going at lock? He's been going 383. So, okay, if he's going 383, maybe I'll bid, $4 a share, which is over his average cost because he's been paying out $13 every contest anyway. So, use this, play around with it. It's a free tool. It doesn't cost a single penny. It's on the drop-down menu under Jock Market on dfskarma.com. Now, the tool that I use religiously, and I've won an insane amount of money on this for NFL, NBA, and now I'm trying to work on, like I said, a new strategy that works best for MLB, is the lineup optimizer we have. So the projections here, all of these things are a huge factor to our success in NFL and NBA, where we've typically focused on what I call the elite plays. So the players that are projected in like the top 10, top 15. It hasn't worked out as well as I wanted to. It hasn't been complete trash, but it hasn't worked out as well as I wanted to. So right now what I'm doing is I'm focusing on value plays, as I mentioned earlier in the video. So this is something that can be accessible by going to dfskarma.com/pricing and clicking on Optimizer, and you see various options there. You can sign up for it. So let's just say today I'm going to play through me finding a few value plays for this slate that starts later today, because right now it's only like noon. I think it locks at when does this one lock? So the window for bidding starts at 4:45 p.m. And it looks like it locks at 6:45 p.m. So live trading starts is when it locks, and then it flips over from the bidding part to just buy, sell, trading with other users. Because when you're bidding, you're not bidding to buy them from other users. You're bidding to buy them from Jock Market. 6:45 p.m. So right now it's 12:24. So you have about 6 hours from me recording this. I'll put it up in plenty of time if you're watching this the day of. So right now, let's say I want to make sure I have the same. Okay, so it doesn't have. The first game is Rockies-Phillies 6:45. So I go over to the optimizer, and I notice that San Francisco-Milwaukee's not part of that. So I'll cancel those out. So those projections are not part of my stuff. So I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So now what I'm looking at with the DraftKings slate tonight is the same slate that Jock Market has, because I've already X'd out Milwaukee and San Francisco, which is not part of the Jock Market slate. I then go over here to this value. So SS projection, my projection, that's the DFS score based on DraftKings scoring for these players. We already know they don't have pitchers, so I click on all batters right here, right above my head. And then I'm going to sort by this value column. So I sort by value, and we see that, Eli White of Texas Rangers is the highest value because his DraftKings salary is only $2,100, but his score is 521, which gives him a 2.48x value. Now, okay, why is this important? Jock Market doesn't have salary. Jock Market doesn't have the scoring. Why is this important? Well, DraftKings salary is relatively based on what they're projected to do. So it's still something that's important. The salary is based on the projection. So when you see somebody at a high value, that just means, even though it's based on the salary to projection ratio, it still means they're expected to exceed their salary infused projections, if you will. But what I've been doing is I don't focus on the bottom of the barrel players, these 2,100, these 2,000. Typically, they're not even part of the Jock Market pool. The bare minimum punt plays. So let's say I'll go down here and I'll see, okay, we have a 2.35 value, 6.11. Chris McCormick of the Texans. I said, okay, let me look at him. So I'll see if he's in the pool. So I'll go over here and I'll see. Let's see. Did they include McCormick? Yes. You see this little star logo? I click on that and it saves it to my favorites. So Chris McCormick is expected to exceed his projection. Let's see, value here. Michael Brantley, another Houston player, which is huge because stacks do matter in fantasy sports for baseball. Granted, McCormick is hitting 8th. These lineups haven't come out yet, but it says he's projected to hit 8th, and Michael Brantley's hitting 2nd. So in theory, when the lineup comes back around, if McCormick gets on base at 8th and then 9th first, and then 2nd comes around, there is a chance there can be some what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of what it is, but some association, even though they're like spaced out by 3 or 4 spots, it's still platoon advantage, I guess is what we're thinking of. So I'll go over here to Brantley. I'm going to star him as well. Let's see. Let's go down here. Camargo, Philly versus Colorado. Typically, what I've been trying to do with this new strategy is kind of stay away from the bottom of the barrel batting orders. But there was like a few days where I showed everybody a screenshot in our chat room saying, like, look, like the top guys are like the 8th and 9th spots in terms of ROI because people are not giving them, their worth because they're hitting so far low. But all they need is like a home run, and then they easily make profit. Or not even a home run. So let's try to find somebody who's not bottom. We already have an 8th batting order with McCormick. Let's see. We got Verdugo, Boston. He's a 7.44. So Verdugo, I like. He's been doing pretty good lately. So I'll highlight him. And then let's look at Zach Collins. He's been doing really well lately for Toronto. So that's the same game there. So if that's a high-scoring game, they should both get, hopefully a slice of that. Collins. So then after you star some players and you add them to your favorites, now when you want to not just look at every player available and you want to look at your favorites when you're going to bet on them, you can just change the filter to favorites. And these are all the guys we've starred. Now, this doesn't mean they're going to finish 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That's just where they rank only out of your favorites list based on their projected score. So Brantley's projected to get 9.09. Verdugo's, 7.74. McCormick 7.47. And then Zach Collins is 6.96 based on their projections on their scoring. So let me go back to the main list here. So Brantley's projected to finish at 9th overall, even though he's a pretty high value. So let me see where he is 9th overall on ours. So he's all the way down here. So going back to my NBA strategy where I say focus on like the top 10, top 15 projections. If we go down here, we can see Michael Brantley is definitely not 7th. He's far below 7, not far-ish below 7. So I go back to my list. I say, okay, even though he's expected to exceed his salaried base projections on the ranking from highest projected to least projected, he's so far away from the 7th that I feel like his bid is going to be too high, or it's not going to be worth the bang for the buck. So then I take him off. So now we have 3 players we're focusing on. Verdugo, 3 people that are pretty, I'm assuming they're going to be pretty cheap because they have a sub 7.75 projections. Like if you go back to the main list and try to find Verdugo, I mean, you're scrolling down for how long? He's currently ranked to finish 37th in fantasy scoring. Now, what does that mean? That means that out of all the people after the slate's over with, he's projected to finish at 37th, which each share pays out at 37 at $4.63 a share. So if we're thinking he's going to exceed 37th place, or let's just say he's going to get 37th place, if we bid, let's say, $4 a share, which probably will be too high for him, but if we get him at $4 a share, which, yeah, it's actually going to be way too high for him, that means we make a 63-cent profit if he finishes exactly where his projections are for Jock Market. So I'm hoping this is, I know this can be potentially confusing for someone who's never played on this before. Don't just watch this one time. You can watch it multiple times. You can ask us a million questions. We have tons of helpful videos that we put out for NFL, for NBA season. We have articles that would come out every single day. We have the how to play stuff. I'm just kind of show you how, if you're, how to not play blindly your very first time. And then something else you definitely need to remember is that not all of these players are guaranteed to start until the rosters come out. So if the starting lineups come out, let's just say Bryce Harper scratched. If it comes out before lock, don't bet on him. If it comes out after lock, you're kind of screwed there. Where if it locks at 6:45, well, I mean it's a 6:45 game. So let's say Freddie Freeman. Let's say you bet on Freddie Freeman, locks at 6:45. He cost, I don't know, $5 a share, and then he gets scratched. I mean, it's the same thing with most things that don't have late swap. Is if you have ownership of him and he gets scratched, you can't really do much about that. So if somebody's like a game time decision or questionable or anything like that, you can be wary of it. I would probably stay away from MLB. For NBA, pretty much when they're the elite top players in their game time decision, I think they have a higher than 50% rate of actually playing. So it's different for NBA. But MLB, if anybody's a game time decision, let's see. I'll show you what that looks like here if we have anybody on this list. Right here, DDT, which is it's day to day, but it's the same thing. So that means I would stay away from him. So even if you think he's going to do great, unless you hear before 6:45, which you will because this game is technically 6:45 at lock, do not worry about that. You don't want to get caught up holding on to shares of a player who is not actually playing. But use this to kind of see, okay, I really want shares of Jared Walsh today. What's his average cost been going the past four markets, 380. This will help you figure out how to place your bids for the main market. And then, like I said, use the value thing here. And we also have something similar on our MLB projections portal to find plays. Now, you don't want to necessarily just focus on the best values because like 489, like in comparison to DraftKings scoring, is nothing. Like 521 is almost nothing. I kind of focused on the 6 and highers, which is why we went with McCormick here. We initially looked at Brantley, looked at some of these other 6s here. Then we looked at these 7s that we have added to our rosters or our favorites. Varsho, let's add him as well. I've been liking him lately. He's a leadoff, so let's add him. I didn't look at him before. Varsho. Yeah. Ooh. There. So now we got 4. I like typically having 4. So these 4 players are the ones I'm going to be eyeing at lock. And then I might win shares of them. I might not win shares of them. I might win some of the shares I bid on. I may win all of the shares I bid on. But yeah, so there you have it. That is what you should be starting with. Pay attention to if they have a less than 100% chance of starting, what their value is, using the tools we have on our site, what their average cost is. Make sure you're not overbidding for someone. You don't want to bid $5 on a player per share and get them at $5 if they're projected to finish at like a $3.48 payout, because even if they finish like a spot above that, and they would have made profit based on their projections, I mean, you may still lose if you overbid on someone. So it's not just, bidding for the moon just to try to get shares of these players. So there's a lot of different things you can play around with there. If you have any questions about Jock Market whatsoever, we're more than happy to help. But I wanted to make sure that I told everybody a specific strategy to use, just because we're changing things up a little bit for how we attack MLB. But there you have it. 30-ish minutes of me rambling about how to win money on the easiest DFS platform that exists, which is MLB not MLB, but just Jock Market in general. Easiest. You just have to bid on a player to exceed the projections. If they do, you win. That is that simple. All right, guys. Let me know in chat. In the comments, you can ask questions or go to dfskarma.chat, dfskarma.com/chat to get into our Discord chat room and ask me questions there. See you guys next time.